Today we're making bell pepper jack-o'-lanterns and mini blueberry peach pies. I found a gluten-free pie crust mix by Cup for Cup that I'm going to use today. So I weighed out 315 grams of the pie crust mix. Go ahead and add that to your mixing bowl with 6 tablespoons of chilled butter cubed. It needs to be chilled to make sure that it doesn't melt until it gets into the oven. Then we're going to add 148 grams of vegetable shortening. Using a pastry cutter, we're going to mix the flour and fat. The reason you don't want to use a mixer for this is because we want big clumps of fat or butter and shortening when this bakes to make a flaky crust. So we don't want it to melt or get melted in the process of mixing. So we're looking for round clumps. Chill some water with ice and then remove the ice. We want about half a cup here. Add the chilled water slowly as you blend it into your dry mix. Chilled water will ensure the fat doesn't melt while you mix. A ball of dough will start to form. Go ahead and flour your workstation and grab the dough that is chilling in the fridge. We're going to start to fold your dough over and over several times to create layers. You can add some flour if the dough is still wet and sticky like mine. You should still see chunks of butter in the dough. After you've done this several times, we're going to roll that into a ball. I divided the dough in half, but would suggest dividing it into 3/4 and 1/4. I ended up using 3/4 for the bottom of my pies and the rest of the dough for the decorations on the top, but the bottom crust definitely covered more surface area. Then we're going to flatten that into 1-inch thick discs with our hands. We're not pulling out the rolling pin just yet. Using plastic wrap, we'll stick these on a pan and put them in the fridge for about 1 to 2 hours while we make our filling. Now we're ready to prepare our filling. We're using almost a pint of blueberries and 1 peach. 40 grams of blueberries is safe per sitting. I multiplied that by 6 servings to give me 240 grams, which was almost the entire pint. We're using a yellow peach, which has a lower FODMAP content than white peaches. We'll peel this and measure it out. You can eat 30 grams multiplied by 6 servings equals 180 grams of peach. Mix 3/4 of a cup and 1 tablespoon of sugar with 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour that's gluten-free. This will soak up a lot of our fruit juice. We're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground allspice. So whisk all of that together. Rinse off your blueberries and dice your peach into bite-sized chunks. Add the fruit to your sugar and spice mixture and fold them in slowly, making sure they all get coated evenly. Flour your workspace once again and grab the 3/4 piece of pie dough from the fridge. Leave the other one in the fridge so it stays cold. Starting from the center, roll out your pie crust and turn. Continue to do that and be very gentle and let the rolling pin do its thing. Continue until you roll it out to about a 1/2 inch thickness. Cut out 12 4-inch circles to fit your mini muffin tins. If you're using medium-sized muffin tins, use a 5-inch circle cutter instead. Press the pie dough into the muffin tins and add your filling. I ended up with about a cup of leftover filling. Grab your second pie crust that's been chilling in the fridge and roll it out until it's about 1/2 inch thick as well. And then go crazy with your cookie cutters. I have a really cute bat for my medium pies, and then you can lay that right on top of your filled pies. Just repeat this process until you have all of your pies covered. If you don't have any cookie cutters, you can leave the pies to bake uncovered, add a lattice top or a circle top using your fork to make decorations like a traditional pie, or you can cut your own decorations with a knife like I did for my mini pies. I cut out some fall leaves and pumpkins. Add one final touch by mixing 1 egg in a bowl to coat the tops of your pies with this egg wash. And then we'll let these bake until they're golden brown. And now you can marvel in the glory of these delicious pies that you're going to destroy. For our main course, we'll be making turkey and rice stuffed bell pepper jack-o'-lanterns that pack a cheesy punch. I've already cut the tops off of my bell peppers and removed the seeds. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees and cut my jack-o'-lantern faces with a knife. We'll stick these in the oven for 15 minutes while we make our filling. First, we're going to make some breadcrumbs out of sourdough bread for our bell pepper filling. I love Lowe's Foods sourdough bread from their bakery section, but you can use any bread that you know works well for you, any kind of gluten-free breads or sourdoughs that are made correctly, but just be sure to check for any sneaky FODMAPs in those gluten-free breads. We're going to shred that up and then put it in our food processor for blending. We don't want it too fine, they should look like breadcrumbs, and then we'll set that aside for later. In a frying pan, cook your ground turkey until it's brown. And then cut up some green onions or scallions. The green parts only. We are going to discard the white parts. Green onions are actually low FODMAP, so you can be a little bit generous here to get the flavor you want. Then we're going to add that to our turkey along with some salt, pepper, a pinch of crushed red pepper, and thyme. Turn the heat on low and add your breadcrumbs. And grate a generous amount of a hard cheese. I love Cabot's cheddar cheese. This really makes the dish. And stir it all together. Pull your bell peppers out of the oven. I pre-made some white rice and boiled some broccoli. I seasoned that with salt and pepper. Stuff the bottom of your bell peppers with the rice and broccoli mixture. Then add your turkey and breadcrumb mixture. Stick the tops back on your bell peppers and transfer them back into your baking pan to cook for about another 10 to 15 minutes. So here we have it, our Halloween fall feast, complete with turkey and rice stuffed jack-o'-lantern bell peppers. I've used orange bell peppers, green bell peppers, just too high in FODMAPs, and you can use red bell peppers because they don't have any FODMAPs in them. I used orange for my Halloween theme, however, red can do just as fine. One thing to watch out for, orange bell peppers you might want to test a little bit because they're probably in between green and red as far as FODMAPs are concerned. And I measured these out. You can have about 52 grams of green bell peppers, and these are about 100 to 150 grams. So you could have about half a serving of these probably, but test it out and see. I'm going to do the same. Another thing to watch out for is that bell peppers have capsaicin, which is in a lot of peppers, and it can be a little bit too spicy for some people to handle. For our desserts, we have our beautiful mini blueberry and peach pies. They just turned out so great with the little bat decoration. I have a pumpkin and some fall leaves. So very cute, very tasty, very flaky and buttery. I also used 6 tablespoons of butter, and then instead of using more butter so that I could enjoy more of this pie, I actually used about 3/4 of a cup of shortening. So about 1 tablespoon of butter is a pretty safe low FODMAP serving, but shortening is mostly soybean oil, and there are no FODMAPs in soybean oil. However, butter and shortening, they both have fats in them. So you do have to be careful. If fat is a trigger, it can affect gut motility, and so that's something that you definitely need to kind of play around with, but so far so good. Let's dig in. The bell pepper really steals the show here, so it's good that we added in a lot of other flavors in our turkey and our rice. Just look at that. Beautiful. There's something that's so buttery to me about turkey. It just kind of melts in your mouth. The bell pepper is really cooked very well. It still has a little bit of a crunch, so it's not falling apart. Definitely tastes like Thanksgiving, actually, with the breadcrumbs added and the turkey. And I have a ton of leftovers for the filling because I used about 1.5 pounds of turkey and probably way too much rice. It was like 1.5 cups of rice. So I would be able to probably use a lot of those as either leftovers or I could use that and like less of the bell pepper and just kind of mix it all together on my plate. I would say this is a success. Let's move on to dessert. So I have one of my mini pumpkin pies. It's surprisingly flaky, even though I felt like I overworked the dough toward the end, but it's the perfect size and the perfect balance between the fruit and the pie crust. The cinnamon and the allspice just really comes out in this. I can really taste the blueberry and the peaches. And the topping isn't overwhelming, so it's not too much crust with the little decorations that we have. I did end up getting 5 of the larger mini pies and then 4 of the smaller from a regular like cupcake muffin tin where you have 12. I made 4 of those. Since I made these yesterday, I had them in the fridge overnight and I just reheated this in the microwave for about 30 seconds and it is beautiful. So there you have it. Happy Halloween. Make sure that you check out woodyandmarie.com for more recipes and information about the low FODMAP diet. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and check back with us next week for another video.